Hi viewers, you're watching the news on Sansad TV and I'm Rashika. In today's bulletin, the focus will be on parliament-related news along with detailed national and international stories. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Lok Sabha passes Constitution SC/ST Order Second Amendment Bill. Government affirms commitment to development of tribal community and their areas. SC/ST Order Third Amendment Bill also discussed. Short duration discussion in Rajya Sabha on global warming emphasizes need for policy measures on climate change, focus on effective monitoring of pollution, investment in clean energy. Country that hosted Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden has no right to preach at the United Nations, says Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. In open debate at UN Security Council, asserts that it cannot be business as usual in the multilateral domain. Fugitive Nirav Modi suffers another setback in legal battle. Bid to appeal against extradition in UK Supreme Court rejected. And Team India tightened their grip in the Chattogram Test in response to India's total of 404 runs in the first innings. Bangladesh lose 8 wickets for 133 runs. Now, a quick look at important stories in our news flash segment. Pendency of cases nears 5 crore mark. Law Minister Kiran Rijiju assures Rajya Sabha that strong steps are being taken to overcome problem. NDA government committed to the growth of tourism in Jammu and Kashmir. Government expanding terminals in Srinagar, Jammu airports, asserts Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia in the Lok Sabha. Last of the 36 Rafale aircraft supplied by France lands in India today. From 7,881 crore rupees in 2017-18, spending on nuclear power generation is 14,235 crore in 2021-22. MOS and PMO Dr. Jitendra Singh says 8,776 million units added in the last 5 years. Parliamentary panel recommends separate department within Defence Ministry exclusively for the welfare of martyred soldiers' families. Amid talks of cabinet expansion, Himachal Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu meets Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. Supreme Court grants bail to convict Farooq, sentenced to life for stone pelting in Godhra train carnage case. India abstains on the UN Economic and Social Council resolution to exclude Iran from group to promote gender equality. 16th edition of Indo-Nepal Joint Training Exercise Surya Kiran to start tomorrow. Annual exercise aims at enhancing capabilities in jungle warfare and counter-terrorism in mountainous terrain. All 959 coaches currently working with Sports Authority of India are Indian. Sports Minister Anurag Thakur tells Rajya Sabha in a written reply. Lok Sabha passed the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Second Amendment Bill 2022 today. Responding to the discussions, Union Minister for Tribal Affairs Arjun Munda said if the government is reaching out for the upliftment of a community with about 27,000 population, it explains the government's good intentions.
Tamil Nadu प्रदेश की आबादी 7 करोड़ 21 लाख 2011 के जनगणना के अनुसार, और यदि इस समुदाय की बात की जाए तो लगभग कुल मिलाकर के इसके लगभग समुदाय 27,000 है। ये समुदाय संख्या अधिक नहीं है, लेकिन जो लोग रहने वाले हैं उस तक पहुंचना कितना ज़रूरी है, यह माननीय नरेंद्र भाई मोदी की सरकार महसूस करती है कि वैसे जगहों में, सुदूरवर्ती क्षेत्रों में रहने वाले लोगों को न्याय मिले, उन्हें हम समझ सके, उनका समाधान कर सके। और आज तमिलनाडु के ऐसे आबादी जो मात्र हजारों की संख्या में है, उनको न्याय देने का काम हो रहा है।
The Tribal Affairs Minister stated that the expenditure on scholarship for tribals has been increased and the government has allowed all the scholarship applications.
पहले 10 लाख जनजातीय छात्रों को स्कॉलरशिप दी जा रही थी। अगर आप 2021-22 को देखें तो अभी हम 15 लाख छात्रों को स्कॉलरशिप दे रहे हैं। यही नहीं, प्री मैट्रिक स्कॉलरशिप, पोस्ट मैट्रिक स्कॉलरशिप, इसके साथ साथ ही ओवरसीज स्कॉलरशिप या ऐसे इसके अलावा भी कई तरह के स्कॉलरशिप, किसी में हमने कोई पाबंदी नहीं लगाई, बल्कि कुछ में जो पहले 1000 संख्या हमने सुनिश्चित किया था उसको असीमित कर दिया। अब 1000 से अधिक जितने भी आवेदन आएंगे सबको हम इंटरटेन करेंगे, ये प्रावधान भी हमने कर दिया।
The Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Third Amendment Bill 2022 was taken up by the Lower House for consideration and passing on Thursday. The bill was introduced in Lok Sabha on the 9th of December 2022. The bill seeks to amend the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order 1950 with respect to its application to Himachal Pradesh. The order lists the tribal communities deemed to be scheduled tribes in states and union territories. The bill includes the Heti community of Transgiri area of Sirmaur district in the list of scheduled tribes in Himachal Pradesh.
एक टास्क फोर्स भी गठन किया गया था 2014 में, जिसमें ये बोला गया था कि ओडिशा का जो लिस्ट है वो लेके आओ। उसमें कुछ एसटी कम्युनिटीज को ट्राइबल स्टेटस देने की बात हुई थी। खाली आ रहे हो कि ये दिखाने के लिए कि हम ये कर दिए वो कर दिए, नहीं होगा सर। ये इस सरकार का नहीं, हर एक सरकार को बोल रहा हूं कि ऑलराउंड डेवलपमेंट जब तक नहीं होगा हम लोग आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते।
हमें उनको पढ़ाने में ज्यादा आगे लाना चाहिए। इसके लिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ, टीच द चाइल्ड टू कैच द फिश। वो कैच द फिश ही हैज टू स्टार्ट, पढ़ना पड़ेगा। और पढ़ने के चक्कर में अगर वो काम नहीं होता है तो उनके लिए अभी अब जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज का है, बताओ। शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब बन गए, शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट बन गए, अब जॉब कहाँ है? रिजर्वेशन कहाँ मिलता है? सरकारी उद्योगों में, सरकारी नौकरियों में, प्राइवेट में मिलता तो कहाँ जाएगा फिर? और हम सारी कंपनियां बेच रहे, पब्लिक सेक्टर बेच रहे, जहां उनको एक अवसर है, एक जॉब मिलेगा, वो भी निकल गया, तो क्या फिर राजनीति करेंगे?
The upper house took up a short duration discussion on serious effects of global warming and need for remedial steps to tackle it. Initiating the discussion in the House, Tiruchi Shiva of DMK expressed concern over global warming, saying it is contributing factors for climate change. Participating in the discussion, Kavita Patidar of BJP said it has been the tradition of India to protect and conserve nature and natural resources. Ami Yagnik of Congress highlighted the ill effect of climate change. S. Niranjan Reddy of YSR Congress said India is vulnerable to climate change. Vandana Chauhan of NCP said the action must be taken at the local level to address challenges of climate change. Members cutting across party lines took part in the discussion.
Our environment minister has evolved some strategies. He is working on it. And I should say, I am from the state of Tamil Nadu. We have our own responsibility. So the target of the union government is by 2070, there will be zero carbon emission. Am I right? I think. It is around 50 years from now. But I am scared of 2040. What was in 2000 and what is in 2020, we can see the variations. The threat has increased. The alarm bell is ringing like anything. I don't think 50 years waiting, how far? So I think the measures have to be very urgent and very immediate.
मोदी जी का एक वक्तव्य उद्धृत करना चाहता हूं। उन्होंने कहा था, पीपल एंड प्लैनेट आर इनसेपरेबल एंड ह्यूमन वेल बीइंग एंड द नेचर आर इंडिविजिबल। यानी हम नेचर से अपने को अलग रख के नहीं देख सकते। और आप सोचिए कि आज विज्ञान ने भी बात माना। सिर्फ 60-70 साल पहले अगर आप किसी से कहते कि दिल्ली में फैक्ट्री चल रही है और कनाडा में बर्फ पिघल रही है, तो कोई कहता कितने अनसाइंटिफिक हो, कितनी बेकार की बात कर रहे हो, हीट कंडक्शन के रूल नहीं जानते, कुछ मीटर हीट नहीं जा सकती, हजारों किलोमीटर कैसे जा सकती है। आज ग्रीन हाउस इफेक्ट ने प्रूव किया है कि नॉर्थ और साउथ पोल की बर्फ भी पिघल सकती है, बिकॉज एंटायर अर्थ इज ए सिंगल कॉस्मिक यूनिट।
climate change has been specified by him as one of the most important factors of existential crisis, simply because of the fact that economists don't account for it. Economic model, factors of production do not take into account climate-related impacts. And therefore, even economists have expressed concern now that the economic growth model has to change.
And now other news in detail. India has strongly hit back at Pakistan for raking up the Kashmir issue in the UN Security Council. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said a country that hosted slain Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden and attacked a neighboring parliament should not sermonize. He was responding to Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto, who raised the Kashmir issue during a debate at the Security Council. Jaishankar said the credibility of the UN depends on its effective response to the key challenge of our times, be it pandemic, climate change, conflicts or terrorism. Chairing India's signature event on reformed multilateralism, Jaishankar said that the world is focused today on the urgency of reforming multilateralism. He said that while there are different views, there is growing convergence that this cannot be delayed any further.
The credibility of the UN depends on its effective response to the key challenges of our times, be it pandemics, climate change, conflicts, or terrorism. While we search for the best solutions, what our discourse must never accept is the normalization of such threats. The question of justifying what the world regards as unacceptable should not even arise. That certainly applies to state sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Nor can hosting Osama bin Laden and attacking a neighboring parliament serve as credentials to sermonize before this council.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also met UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and exchanged views on working together during India's G20 chairmanship. India has received all 36 Rafale aircraft from France, with the last aircraft landing in the country today. The aircraft arrived after an en route mid-air refueling from a UAE Air Force tanker aircraft after taking off from France. India and France had signed the Intergovernment Agreement in 2016, under which Paris agreed to provide 36 Rafale fighter jets at a cost of around 60,000 crore rupees to India. The first batch of 5 Rafale jets had arrived on 29 July 2020. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla addressed young entrepreneurs in the Parliament complex today. He said that democracy and democratic values are our way of life. Addressing the entrepreneurs, Speaker Om Birla said that Indian democracy has its roots in its tradition and culture. He said that India's diversity is our strength and our democracy thrives on this diversity. He further said that the youth of India are adding new dimension to the country's progress with their positive attitude, capabilities and rich socio-cultural heritage.
हमारी लोकतंत्र शासन पद्धति का महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा है और आज भी दुनिया के बड़े-बड़े विकसित देश के अंदर भी लोकतंत्र पर कहीं न कहीं प्रश्न चिन्ह लगे हैं, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ 17 आम चुनाव और 300 से ज़्यादा विधानसभा चुनाव के बाद जो जनता का जनमत रहा और सहज रूप से जिस तरीके के सत्ता का हस्तांतरण होता है, ये दुनिया के अंदर भारत में ही ये लोकतंत्र के कारण संभव हो पाया।
President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended an event organized on the occasion of Vijay Diwas in Delhi. Prime Minister Modi also visited an exhibition organized on the occasion. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was also present. Now time for some other national news. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia on Thursday said that the government is concentrating on last-mile connectivity to Tier 3 cities to ensure democratization of civil aviation in the country. Replying to a question in the Lok Sabha, Scindia said India has tremendous connectivity between Tier 1 and 2 cities. What needs to be strengthened is last-mile connectivity to Tier 3 cities under the Udan scheme. Indian Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar held discussions with senior political and defence leadership of Sri Lanka, including President Ranil Wickremesinghe, on further defence cooperation between the two nations. Kumar, who arrived in Colombo on Tuesday on a 4-day visit, called on President Wickremesinghe on Wednesday. He also met Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Defence Minister Pratima Bandara Tenakun. The Supreme Court on Thursday said a public servant can be convicted for illegal gratification in a corruption case on the basis of circumstantial evidence when there is no direct oral or documentary evidence against them. A 5-judge Constitution bench said sincere efforts need to be made so that corrupt public servants are brought to book and convicted, and administration along with governance becomes unpolluted and free from corruption. The government will sell up to 5% stake in the Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation through an offer for sale on the exchanges on Thursday and Friday. Up to 4 crore shares will be offered in the OFS, and the floor price for the same has been fixed at Rs 680 a share. This is at an over 7% discount on Wednesday's closing price, will be of Rs 734.90. G20 under India's presidency can make concrete progress on 3 critical areas: debt relief, regulations of cryptocurrency and climate finance. International Monetary Fund's first deputy managing director, Geeta Gopinathan, said. Gopinath is in India to participate in deliberations held as part of G20. Now time for a short break. Stay tuned for more news on the other side.
We will focus on India's strategic partnership with Germany.
Technology and economy remain the critical core of Germany's policies, in which India is a partner.
The most important is to see that how this green and sustainable partnership can transform India's growing economy.
The India startup story. Powerful ideas, dynamic solutions, innovation, enterprise. Its success and challenges. Packed in a brand new show, The Journey of Startups, only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back. A look at news from the conflict zone of Russia-Ukraine. In today's updates from the war zone, Ukrainian authorities have claimed Russian forces tortured children in territories formerly occupied by Russian army. Ukraine's human rights chief Dmytro Lubinets said that they discovered torture chambers allegedly meant for children accused of resisting Russian forces. These chambers were found in parts of northeastern and southern Ukraine, recaptured by Kyiv's counter-offensive. In one of the torture chambers in Kherson, a separate cell for children was found. Former detainees said children were tortured, deprived of food and water, and subjected to psychological pressure. On 9 December, Ukrainian authorities said that at least 443 children had been killed in Ukraine during the conflict. Russian defense officials said on Wednesday that Russian forces captured the main part of Vodia. It is a village near the eastern Ukrainian city of Vodar in the eastern Donetsk region, which has been one of the main targets of Moscow's military operation in recent weeks. Russian Defense Ministry spokesperson Igor Konashenkov said up to 50 Ukrainian servicemen, 1 tank, 3 armored vehicles and 4 pickup trucks were destroyed. Pope Francis has called on Wednesday for a humble Christmas this year, urging people to donate the money saved from reduced spending on gifts to help those suffering in Ukraine. He appealed for concrete gestures of charity for Ukrainians this holiday season during his weekly general audience. Pope Francis has spoken out frequently about the martyred people of Ukraine ever since Russia's invasion began on 24th February. The Vatican has organized humanitarian deliveries over recent months, including a clothing drive this month to bring thermal wear to Ukrainians suffering the winter cold with reduced heating and electricity. The people of Ukraine and their representatives were handed the European Union's top human rights prize on Wednesday for their resistance to Russia's invasion at a solemn ceremony in Strasbourg, France. The EU awarded the brave people of Ukraine the prize in October. The prize, named after the late Soviet dissident Andrei Sakharov, has been awarded annually since 1988 to individuals and organizations defending human rights and fundamental freedom. It's the second straight year EU lawmakers used the Sakharov Prize to send a message to the Kremlin. Imprisoned Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny won it last year. Now let's take a look at some more news from across the globe. The High Court of Justice London dismissed fugitive diamond merchant Nirav Modi's petition to appeal against his extradition order in the UK Supreme Court. Nirav Modi is wanted in India on charges of fraud and money laundering. Judges at the Royal Courts of Justice in London dismissed his application for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court. Last month, the 51-year-old diamond merchant's appeal on mental health grounds had also been similarly dismissed. Nirav Modi is lodged in London's Wandsworth prison since his arrest on an extradition warrant in March 2019. Coronavirus cases are rising in China nearly a fortnight after it rolled back major COVID-19 restrictions following widespread protests. Clinics in Beijing and some other cities are overcrowded with patients. The number of patients infected with Omicron is increasing rapidly in most of the apartment blocks. Videos also show several people waiting with high fever for their turn outside clinics in the bitter cold. The people affected include Chinese officials, diplomats based in Beijing, and journalists. In other international news of the day, Peru's defense minister announced a nationwide state of emergency on Wednesday that allows soldiers to assist police in maintaining public safety after a week of fierce protests and road blockages. The protest was sparked by the ousting of former President Pedro Castillo on 7 December in an impeachment vote. Castillo, who was elected in 2021, was arrested after illegally trying to dissolve the Andean Nations Congress. 4 political parties contesting Fiji's general election called to stop counting votes on Thursday after the online results app experienced a glitch. After the glitch, the next batch of results swung in favor of the incumbent Prime Minister. Fiji's democracy has been marred by 4 military coups in the past 35 years. This election has pitted 2 former coup leaders, Sitiveni Rabuka and Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama, against each other. The UN Economic and Social Council voted to immediately remove Iran from the UN's premier global body fighting for gender equality. The vote to remove Iran for the remainder of its 2022-26 term was 29-8 with 16 abstentions in the 54-member council. Russia opposed the resolution. India abstained from the vote. Permanent members France and the United Kingdom reiterated their support for a permanent seat for India at the powerful UNSC table. France said it supports the candidacy of Germany, Brazil, India and Japan as permanent members. It also wished to see a stronger presence of African countries. UK also supported new permanent seats for Brazil, Germany, India and Japan and a permanent African representation. UK Foreign Minister James Cleverly said on Wednesday that China has removed its Consul General and 5 officials wanted by the British police over the assault of a pro-democracy protester outside the Manchester consulate in October. The departure of the 6 officials coincided with the expiry of a deadline set by the UN for China to waive the officials' diplomatic immunity and allow them to be questioned by the police. Now time for a quick look at the most interesting development in the world of sports. India get a strong grip on the Chattogram test against Bangladesh. Visitors score 404 in the first innings. Siraj and Kuldeep reduced Bangladesh to 133 for 8 by end of day 2. Home team still trails by 271 runs. Australia beat India by 21 runs in the third Women's T20 International to take 2-1 lead in the 5-match series played in Mumbai. Australian women score 172 for 5. Chasing 173, India score only 151 for 7 wickets. Defending champions France outclassed history-making Morocco in second semi-final of the FIFA World Cup. 2-0 win secures France its second successive berth in the summit clash. Already through to the semi-finals, India beat South Africa 2-0 to notch up their third win on the trot and top the pool in the FIH Hockey Women's Nations Cup at Valencia, Spain. 3-time Wimbledon champion Boris Becker released from prison in UK after serving nearly 8 months of 2.5 years sentence. Becker was in prison for hiding millions of pounds worth of assets to avoid paying debts. It's a wrap of the bulletin. Keep watching Sansad TV for more news and updates. Good night.